Hi, it's Jim Owens with Performance Strategies Group. Happy 2020. We're off to a good start here. Got a number of projects going on across the country. But today I want to talk to you about 2020 in terms of your leadership responsibilities to hold other people accountable, particularly as it relates to sales responsibilities. We've been working with a couple of clients who have challenging employees. And one of the things we suggested in a hiring process is what you want to do is find people who are both likable and competent. Now, you can sometimes endure problems with likability when competency and productivity are really high, but that likability factor takes a toll on your organization in terms of energy from teammates who sometimes are having to deal with challenging people that they either work for or around. In fact, today I've had conversations with 3 different people in which that's the case, which kind of prompts this video. So what do we do if we have a sales leadership responsibility with an individual? Obviously, we have to make clear to them what our expectations are. We have to tell them that whether it's a calling activity responsibility or a production responsibility, however that's measured in terms of new clients or new relationships to your organization or in revenue dollars. We've got to make that very clear to people. And we need to help them understand what the activities are that make one successful in those pursuits. And once we've done that, we have to figure out why someone might not be performing to our expectation or to the minimum expectations of the role. And that's when we encourage our clients to really try to diagnose the problem rather than treat the symptoms. Some people have a very high closing ratio in their sales activity. They're really good at finding the right people, talking to them the right ways, and then closing business in an efficient manner. And other people have to make more effort to convert what we call suspects into prospects and then ultimately into clients. It's not easy to figure out what it is their challenges are. And one of the things we figured out with our research is it's either A, they're not seeing enough people, B, they're not seeing the right people, or C, they're doing the wrong things in front of those people. And once you, as a leader or coach, find out what those things are, you can home in on how to make them more effective. Now, the same thing is true for any individual in your organization, even if their role is not in a particularly specific outward sales responsibility. They do have the responsibility to produce certain documents, reports. They might have a variety of other things that they produce that you might call their work product or their work sale. So the same technique works with everyone. The important part of this is to recognize that many of us as leaders, because we want to be able to sleep at night, may sometimes be slow to respond. We wait longer to address what we know is a challenge in an employee or a situation where someone is not well suited, and most of the time for the role they're in, and most of the time those people are not particularly happy. So what do? We encourage our clients to do several things when they're diagnosing a problem employee or an underperformer in whether it's sales or in other responsibilities. First of all, we just ask them. We say, here's what the expectation is, and here's where you are right now. And what we want to know is, how do we close the gap? And as a leader, one of the things we do is say, we encourage them to ask the individual, how can I, as your sales manager or as your manager or leader, help you? And oftentimes we'll see people looking out the window, so to speak, rather than in the mirror about their own responsibilities as it relates to it. But once we figure out what their challenges are, one of the things we'd say is, help me understand why this is a challenge for you. What this will help you do is it'll help you keep your employee engaged, your teammate engaged to the extent that you can, without creating an abundance of well, let's say a loss of energy over fear of failing to fulfill their responsibilities. And then as a leader, you have to step in and help provide those things. So if they're in a sales role and perhaps they're not seeing enough people, you want to help them build a prospect list by identifying your typically best client, whether that's measured in terms of the size of the company, number of employees, the industry, the specific level of sales that they have, and really try and help them understand what industry you as an organization are most efficient in delivering a value proposition for. And if you find out that they've got that prospect list in case, you talk to them about, well, okay, how many people are you seeing? And what are you doing while you're there? And if you're a sales manager or just a manager in general with someone who is working through a problem, sit down with them and watch them. Go with them on whether it's a sales call or work through the process of their production responsibilities so that you can see exactly what it is they're doing. Now, this feels like it takes a lot of time, but let's face it, challenging employees always take a lot of time. And if we're wasting that time or we're not using it otherwise to coach the individual, we're just waiting and hoping somehow that they magically either decide to go elsewhere or that they somehow magically turn in from let's call it from a frog to a prince or a princess. We are wasting our own time and energy. So why not invest that time and energy in something that's more effective? And then once we've seen them in action and delivering the value proposition, if perhaps it's a sales problem and they're having to struggle with how they close a deal, so to speak, help cross-pollinate some of that by taking your people who are most effective at it and letting them work with that individual if they possibly can, or even observe something that they're doing. And this is something that the life insurance business does remarkably well. Sales managers will typically go on every sales call that an individual might have if it's a young agent. And actually, once they've made the appointment, the sales manager will take responsibility for leading the dialogue and the discussion. There are a lot of other things that you can do as a coach and leader to help your folks become more productive. And of course, we'd love to talk to you about that as we work through strategic plans with companies, as we do our executive coaching work, and as we build better sales and leadership structures within an organization. So if you'd like to know more about us, you can find us on the web at psghsv.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. As I've said before, from a time perspective, I simply will tend to post things on my own site, and that's James I. Owens Jr., the one and only son of my late and remarkably talented father and wonderful and talented mother. So you can find me there. You can find us on Instagram, and we hope you'll reach out to us so that if we can help you in 2020 to become more productive, we'd love to do that and show you the unique ways that we collaborate with clients rather than host or entertain a cookie cutter type approach to things. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If it's been thought-provoking or interesting to you and you can share it, I would appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk soon. I'm Jim Owens.